Okay, now that we've got the smoker going, we're going to have a look at what's involved in doing your first hive inspection. So the equipment you're going to need will be that smoker, and you can see that's running nicely, and we've just got steady smoke available there. Hive tool ready to go, that'll help us to open up the hive and also to lift the frames out, and your gloves. I'm already wearing my jacket. You'll find as you get a bit more experience, you may choose to drop the gloves. That gives you a little bit more dexterity and better grip when you're working with the frames, but obviously exposes you to a bit more risk. So to start with, I'd go for the cautious approach and wear the full protective gear, and that's what I'll be doing today, just to show you how that all works. So this is the hive that we're going to be working with. I'm just at the back of the hive at the moment. I've got it set up on a table so that I'm not bent over to work the hive, and that gives me a pretty good working space around it as well. So to start with, we're just going to take the smoker, come around to the front of the hive, and I'm just going to blow a couple of puffs of smoke around the entrance there. You don't want too much smoke, just a couple of puffs so the bees get the message. And then we're just going to wait for a minute before we open up the hive, just to let that smoke get through the inside of the hive. Now, it's not really sure what the smoke does. There's a couple of theories. One is that it blocks the pheromones that the bees use to signal alerts, and the other possibility is that it makes the bees think that there's a fire around, and so they head inside and start loading up on honey ready to protect the hive. But either way, it definitely makes the hive more subdued when you're working it. So we'll just give that a minute and then I'll show you the next step. All right, so we've given the hive a minute there. The next stage is going to be to open the top, and we're just going to put a little bit more smoke in the top before we start removing frames or anything like that. So I'm going to take the brick off the lid, open the lid up. Now, if you find that that's got a little bit of propolis in there and it's sealed up, you may just need to use your hive tool to help open that up. Got a couple of cockroaches on the top there, and these little guys here are the small hive beetles. So they're a pretty reasonable size, and if you see any of them, you just want to help the bees out. They can't actually kill them, they can only herd them out of the way. So if you see any of them, just squish them as you go. A little bit of smoke, you can use the handhold in the middle, or you can pop the lid and spray a little bit of smoke inside. And all we're aiming for here is just to encourage the girls to head back down into the frames. So just a couple of puffs on the top, and you can see already the bees are starting to move down, and you can see them with their heads in the cells there. All right, and then we just back off for another minute, let the smoke permeate through the hive, and then we'll have a look at what we want to do with those frames. So we've given that another minute, and the plan now is just to have an inspection of the hive. So what we'll generally do is, rather than taking the frame right from the end, we'll take the second frame out first. The hive tools will have a different setup, but it's a similar sort of concept. You're just looking to be able to gently pry that first frame up. And the smoother and gentler you can do this, the less damage you do to the hive, and the less upset the girls are going to be. Once you get the frame out, just flip it around and have a look. So what I'm looking for there is, well, first of all, the queen, if I'm lucky enough to spot her, and I'm looking for what the hive contains, or what each individual frame contains. So if you come in nice and close on that one, you'll see there's plenty of undeveloped honey there, so that's just nectar in there at the moment. And up the top corner here, that's capped honey, so that's the cell actually full, and it's been sealed up, ready to dehydrate and turn it into the honey. All the bees that you can see on here are drones, are workers. So they're your female bees that do all the work. I can't see any drones on that one at the moment. The drones look fairly different. They've got bigger eyes and they're a slightly bigger body as well. So you then want to just set that frame very gently aside, make sure you don't squash anyone, and we're just going to work our way along the hive, taking out a frame at a time. Oh, that one's stuck in well. All right, so this is the second frame. And there's a few things to point out on this one. So we've got a little bit of honey in the top corner there, and you'll find as you get towards the center of the frame, or the center of the hive, you'll see more of this, which is our fresh brood. So all of these capped cells have got a little grub in them, and that will turn into a new bee as they go. And if you look just in the corner here, you'll see some little yellow grubs inside. So that's the first stage. Once they hatch from the eggs, there'll be a little grub, and then the workers will feed the grub, seal up the cell, and that's where you get your fresh brood. So that's a good sign. If you can actually see eggs in the cells, that's even better. But fresh brood like that is an indication that the queen's been in here at least in the last couple of days. And that's a good healthy sign for your hive as well. And then all I'm going to do is work my way along frame by frame. If you find that the bees are starting to get up on top of the frames, you can just blow a couple of puffs of smoke, again just to encourage them to go back down inside the hive. Next frame up, and again some good evidence of honey there, plenty of fresh brood. Oh, and there's the queen. That's her there. So see the longer body, a little bit wider, shorter wings, and she actually moves differently. She's got quite an erratic movement. So yeah, that doesn't always happen. It's always a bonus when you see that. And I'm just going to carefully put that frame back in because I definitely don't want to lose her. But that's brilliant because then I can tell there's definitely a queen in this hive. I'm seeing good evidence of honey collection. I'm seeing good evidence of fresh brood. So I'm just going to work my way through the rest of those frames, and then I'm going to put them back in the same order and seal everything back up.